Hey everybody, today I'm going to show you how you can make some orange shirt earrings using Delica size 11 beads. And I have two patterns here. Most of my video will be demonstrating this pattern here. And then I am going to show you a little bit of how you can do this one right here. But most of my video will be demonstrating this pattern. It is more difficult to do this one than this one, so I thought I'll just give you a quick intro on this one, because once you've learned the idea of doing this one will be very easy to do. So I should probably also mention that a lot of the video you will be seeing, I was actually making this one here, which is actually a bigger pattern than this one, but I didn't realize until I was done that my pattern was too big for earrings, so then I made it smaller. But the pattern that I will show you now will be the correct size, so that you can take a screenshot of it and use it alongside the video to help you make these earrings. Just a quick note, this one here, you'll be working from the bottom up, and we will be using mostly brick stitch, but we will begin it with a zigzag stitch. And when we get up to the arms here, you do have to use a ladder stitch to extend outwards. This one, why I'm saying this one's easier, is because you actually start it sideways, and you will be doing zigzag stitch on these first two rows here, and then all you have to do after that is brick stitch all the way above and brick stitch all the way down. And it's also doesn't have the big pattern in the middle, so it's a lot quicker to do this one. Don't forget to check out my other videos if you haven't already, because I do have other project ideas. The earrings are advanced level, upper secondary and higher, but I do have some projects for elementary, such as the safety pin t-shirts and the beaded wire flowers. Maybe upper elementary could be doing the fully beaded shirt. And then you can check out my other ones too. That I have some red dress earrings and some pink shirt, and a whole bunch of other videos that you can check out. Let's begin now by taking a look at the supplies. Okay, so the supplies you'll need for this project are some beading needles size 11-12, some Delica size 11 beads, and I'm using Fireline 4-pound, but you can use some other type of thread as well. That's just make sure it's a strong one, like upholstery. And this particular pattern, I wanted to do the shape in the middle a slightly different black than the black outline. I was going for gray, but in my supply I only had sort of a lighter black color, but it actually looks kind of gray up against the black. So I am actually using 4 color beads, because I have some white in the middle and this other shade of black for that pattern. And for this pattern, you will need to add some yellow and some red for the medicine wheel colors. It's hard to see, but in the bottom of this there is red, yellow, and white. Had made it wider, but then after making this one, I adjusted this one to make everything closer together, so that when you wear them as earrings, they won't get in the way of your neck. So the main pattern that we will be doing in the video will be this one here. And it will look like this when it's done. I know it kind of looks strange in the pattern. The shape is kind of odd, but it'll end up looking like this. And just to quickly mention, some of the demonstration I'll be doing was using this pattern, because this was my first pattern, but after I finished it, I realized that it was a little bit too big to be for earrings. So don't take a screenshot of this one. This is the one that you should take a screenshot of, and hopefully you could print it out for yourself. If you are familiar with using the snipping tool on your computer, that's what I always use. And you can just do a search in on your computer for snipping tool, and then you can add it to your start or pin it to your start so that it's always there for when you need to snip a picture on your screen. But anyways, this is the pattern. This pattern is by far way easier than this one, but this is the one I'm demonstrating because it is more difficult, so that's the one I'm concentrating on. Once you've watched the video on how to do the brick stitch and the ladder stitch and the zigzag stitch, you will be able to do this pattern here no problem. So we are going to start off with this one, and we will be starting this way. So the direction will be from the bottom, and we will be doing a zigzag pattern using these first 2 rows here. So the first 3 beads we will need is black, 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 because we'll be doing a zigzag. And then your next bead is going to be an orange, and then it'll be black, then it'll be orange, then it'll be black, orange, etc. So the center pattern here, I was trying to go for sort of an eye shape, but you're very limited on the patterns you can do with the beads being staggered back and forth like this. I would have liked to have done the design this way so it looked more like an eye, but I couldn't. So now the design has ended up being like that. On this one, I was going for the medicine wheel colors. So that is why we have the black, red, yellow, and white. So let's begin with, we'll be starting here, exactly in this corner right here, and we will start learning how to start your zigzag stitch. Okay, so here's my beading needle, and what I've done is according to the pattern there that I showed you briefly, we're going to start at the bottom, and with these 2 rows we're going to use a zigzag stitch to get this started. So what you do with the zigzag stitch is you're going to pick up your first 3 beads, which in this case is lucky because it's all going to be black, because you're going to pick up, it's going to be that black, that one, and that one. So I'm going to pick up my first 3, and that's going to start forming the zigzag. I hope you guys can see this. Okay, so how you start this is try and show this to you here. You've got your 3 beads, and you're going to go in through this back bead or the first bead, depending on how you look at this. Okay, and then you're going to pull this all in, and if you're lucky it forms a triangle right away. If it doesn't form a triangle, then you have to play around with it a bit to get it to form a triangle. Let's see what happened. Oh good, it did form a triangle. Okay, can you guys see that? Having it on Zoom is kind of difficult. Alright, so pulling those three formed a triangle. And now we're just going to do a zigzag stitch back and forth. And I do have my dogs again in the background, so you may hear squeaking toys. My chair squeaks too. Okay, so here we have this. Okay, so what you're going to do is you have your triangle, and you can watch my red dress earring tutorial because we're starting it out exactly the same way, and it might be a better recording than this one because I don't think I started out on Zoom on that one. Okay, so now this is going to be forming the bottom row, these two black ones. So the next one I put on is going to be forming right beside this one, which will be the second row. So I want to do an orange. Okay, and then what you do is you go right back down this one right here. Okay. Alright, so now we've got the start of our bottom two rows. So we've got two black on the bottom, a black and an orange on that next. So my next one is going to be black again, because that's going to form the bottom one. But what I do is I flip this over because it's just easier for me to do that. So now the bottom row is on top temporarily. So I'm going to pick up a black. And hang on a second. I've got my black. And I need to go now. I need to take it through the orange. Okay, there we go. Now I've got flip it over again. Pull this a little bit tighter with my nail. Okay, there we go. Now we've got three on the bottom, and we've got the outer black and the orange. So anyways, you just keep going back and forth, back and forth. You just have to keep in mind which row you're on, because the bottom row is going to be all black, and then top row is varied in colors. So I am working on the top row at the moment, so I'm going to put another orange, and I just go in through the bottom. So the zigzag stitch is basically just going up and down, up and down, up and down, until you get your first two rows formed. But you also have to remember to pull these tight at the end of each, otherwise they're a little bit too far apart. Okay, so now I'm flipping it over again. And now I'm on the first row again, which is going to be black. And we're only doing this zigzag stitch for the first two rows, so after that we'll only be working one row at a time. So it'll be a lot easier to keep track of what row you're doing and which pattern you're on. So I have to keep pulling these tight. Okay, I'll leave the camera on, but I think I will fast forward this afterwards. And I can take the sound out too, because my dogs are starting to make noise. Okay, so I didn't record the whole thing because it was hard to stay in the view of the camera as I was doing it. As we're going to be doing this pattern, you'll see that this comes out a little bit, this one goes in, this one goes out, in, out. So that will be repeating all the way up to here. So that is something to keep track of, because you will be either decreasing your row, or increasing your row or decreasing your row, and then increasing and then decreasing. And there's a slightly different start to your technique in order to do that. And if you're wondering what this 12 here is, it's because you can't tell how many beads are here, but this is 12 black beads, and up here you can't see how many beads are there, but that is 6 black beads. So that is just for your reference. But what I've done in the past, like with my red dress pattern, I print my design out, and then I write down how many, like what's the combination. So I'll write 1 black, 4 orange, 2 gray, 4 orange, 1 black. So I'll just kind of write that beside each line, so that I can have it right beside me, and I know where I'm picking up beads, what colors I'm on. Because as you will see later on, I do make a mistake because I didn't have this printed out, due to not having any color ink, or ink period, in my printer at home. So somewhere around here I make a mistake, and I think I add a black one there by mistake, but I was actually on this row, so I had to fix it. But it's much better if you can print this out and put it beside you, or have a second device beside you that you can look at, like on a laptop or an iPad or something, and just have it there, because then you could also zoom it. Okay, I just want to show you quickly the new pattern from the previous zigzag 2 rows that I just did. This one, the newest one, is now going to have 12 black along the bottom, and then the next row up is going to have 11. So the previous one had 5 orange and 5 orange. This one now has 4 orange and 4 orange. So that'll be just a slight difference. And if you notice me using this one in some of the video, and then in some of the video I might still be demonstrating with the old one. So just keep in mind, the technique is exactly the same. It just depends on which pattern you're using. But you will be going 12, 11, and then the rows that keep going up will be 12, 11, 12, 11, 12, 11, which means one row you'll be increasing and one row you'll be decreasing. One row then you'll be increasing, and the next one will be decreasing. And that changes the technique that you use at the beginning of each row, which I will be demonstrating. Okay, let's just switch over quickly to a different pattern I have, which will be slightly easier. So let's look at the pattern for that one. I'm just giving you a reminder here of what the pattern is for the other design, and I will just do a quick little demo on how to start this one off, because once you have learned the technique for the other design with the brick stitch, you'll be able to do this one no problem. So, but I will just show you how to start these 2 rows here that are highlighted using the zigzag stitch, and then basically it'll look like the picture below with the 2 rows there. That's how you'll be starting this pattern, and you'll be working from the sideways angle instead of from the bottom like we did on the other shirt. And then you'll just simply be working upwards with the brick stitch for most of the shirt, and then the partial sleeve you will work the brick stitch going down. And that's all there will be for this one. It's a lot easier than the pattern that I'm demonstrating. Okay, so to start this one, let's put on a black, a red, a black, and we will start doing the zigzag stitch again, and pull these down towards the end of your thread, and then you will, again, this is kind of a good reminder of how you start this, go through this black one right here, Now, just have to position this so that it's the same as the pattern, which in this case is going to be like this. This black and red are actually the first two beads in the second row in. This black one is the bottom edge, so we're going to be forming a line of black beside this black. Beside this red will be the yellow and then the white. And so we'll just do the, not the brick stitch, the zigzag stitch for the full first two rows. And so my next bead is going to be a black one, which will form on the bottom. Okay, I'm going to take this off zoom because the window is too small. It's too difficult for me to do this on zoom. But if you're going to try to do this with me and you've got your triangle, sorry, got your triangle shape, and you can just pause until you get to the spot that I'm at. You got your triangle shape. I'm going to be adding a black next, doing the zigzag pattern. Okay, so there you go. So you've got the second black there. Now we'll be going up to the top row again. So my next one there is the yellow. Okay, and then it'll be going back down to the bottom again, so we need the black. Okay, so there we go. We've got this so far. Now I am doing the next one is a white. And if you're going to continue on doing the other pattern instead of this one, just fast forward this to go back, because I am switching back to the other one after this. I won't be doing this one fully. I just wanted to show you how to start off the first two rows on this one. And after that, you will be switching back to my other one where I'll show you how to do the brick stitch, in which case you will be able to continue doing the brick stitch on this one after. Okay, back to black. So yeah, either zoom ahead or just fast forward all this. That's the same thing. Zoom ahead, fast forward, or what I meant to say was put your speed on. Change your setting speed to, 8 times or something, so that this goes way faster. Okay, now I'm on my first orange in the second row. And I continue on with blacks. And just remember to pull tight, because you see I didn't pull tight on that last one, and that one almost messed up on me. I'm not going to talk now so that I can just quickly keep going. Okay, so we're almost done. I had the 9 black on the bottom, 5 orange, and this was the 4 different medicine wheel colors, then 10 orange along the top. Now we're just ending with the 2 blacks on the edge. And then that'll be our rows completed. Our first 2 rows. And then you will refer back to the pattern. I'll just quickly show it right now. And what will happen is, because we're working sideways, remember, the shirt, we flipped it sideways. So this is down here, will actually be the bottom of our shirt. Right here is going to be our first sleeve over here. So this will be the main part of the shirt going this way. There'll be a sleeve over here and a sleeve over here. So at this point you have the option of continuing on doing these rows and then doing the sleeve, or stopping here and weaving your thread back up to the top of this one, and then do the brick stitch, which I'm going to show you in a minute, to continue with the pattern to do this sleeve. And then you can weave your thread back to this position and then do the whole rest of this. I will be doing this sleeve first, and then I will continue on doing over here. But the nice thing is, on this pattern is now, like, we're just going to continue doing brick stitch on this side and this side. You will see on the other one that I'm doing, the more complicated one, is in order to do the sleeves, we're going to have to do something called a ladder stitch to do that section. At what this looks like. The first 2 rows look like a little bit closer up. Okay, here's just a quick look for you guys to see what it looks like after I've added the 1 sleeve using the brick stitch, which I'm going to demonstrate in a few seconds here. But I've done the brick stitch on this side, and I've weaved my thread up from down here up to here into the ready position, and now I'll just continue doing all these rows out this way. So we're actually working this way, and I will be doing my next row like that, and that's how you'll continue on this one. But now let's switch back to the first pattern. Do what's called a brick stitch, and if you look in at the very top, you will see that there's little, they're called bridges, in between each 2 beads, and we'll be using those little strings, bridges, to do a brick stitch. Now when you're doing brick stitch, the pattern on this one row goes out, the next row goes in, then 1 row will go out, the next row goes in. So depending on whether you're increasing one or you're decreasing one, you will start it slightly different. When you're increasing a row, you will only start on the very first bridge here, and you will go right through the first bridge. But when you're decreasing, you will start on the second. And when you start, you're always starting with 2 beads on. So you'll pick whatever the first 2 beads are in the next row, and then you'll decide, am I increasing? If you're increasing, you will put your needle through the first bridge. If you're decreasing, you will put your needle through the second bridge. And so I will start demonstrating that a little bit, but let's stop and look at the pattern again first, so we can see what we're doing in the 3rd row. so that we can line up our beads for the next row. Now that we've done our zigzag stitch for these bottom 2 rows, we are going to be starting right here with the brick stitch, and I'm going to demonstrate that, but basically you'll be starting with a black and an orange bead, because every time we start a row we picked up 2 beads at a time. So you'll be doing black, orange, and then after that you'll be continuing with orange. Okay, so let's start the 3rd row now using brick stitch. And if you refer to the pattern, you will see that the next row up is increasing. So you just pick up your first 2 rows there in your hand, and every time you start a new row you pick up 2 beads just at the very start. So the next row starts with 1 black and then an orange. And it's going to be a little bit slow here while I try to keep it in focus, in the window for you guys, because I have it on Zoom. Okay, so there we have the 2 beads. And what you have to do is, because we're increasing on this row, we're going to go through the very first bridge. If you were decreasing, you would start on the 2nd bridge in. So, sorry, I just had to get my magnifying glasses. Okay. So, there's the first bridge. And you pull the beads on. Now you'll see that they don't form correctly to how you want them, because you want them both to be facing upwards. So what we do is, well, actually these ones almost formed correctly. I think when you're increasing they form they fall into place, but when you're decreasing they don't. So you have to do, I'm going to do it anyways just because I want this to be really tight, but when you're starting a row, these actually already formed, so I probably do not have to do this step, but I'm in a habit of doing it for every single row when I first start, so I might as well use this opportunity to show you. You will go, well, did I go up already? I did go up. So just for an extra, I went up this one, I'm going to go down this one. You'll see it better when I get to the decreasing row, why we do this. And then you go back up again. It's kind of, my friend called it going around the houses. And so now that's kind of stuck with me. And once you've done that, you just pull it really tight, and you can use your thumb here to pull them. Okay, so now, if I can just get this to stay in place for a second. Okay, there. You can see that this black is out just like this other black. So we did increase the row now because this black is starting there. So this first row has 14 beads, second row has 13, and then this row is going to have 14. So I'm just going to keep going, but now we only pick up 1 bead at a time. It's only when you first start that you pick up 2. So I will string on another bead, and now all I do is go through the next bridge that's there. So there we go, there's the next bridge. Okay, and then you just have to remember to go in again through the bottom and bring your needle to the top so that you're in the ready position for the next one. Ouch, sorry, I just poked myself. Okay, and then just push it into place with your thumb, or your finger I should say. Okay, you just keep going now, picking up one at a time. Just remembering to look at your pattern to remember what colors you're putting on. Okay, so I'm going to go into the next bridge. Okay, and then go up again through the bottom. Okay, pick up another one because I need 1 black, 5 orange in a row for this one. So this is my 4th orange. Go back up. 1 more orange. Go into the next bridge. And I'm going to have to get like a little bowl for my beads because having them here, the string keeps sending them off. Okay, so there we go. What do we have? We have the 1 black, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 orange, and now I've got my little center pattern that I'm doing, which is, I think I lost one over here. Yes, I did. Okay, there it is. It is slightly different color black than the outer one. Probably not noticeable. I would have liked to have had the gray, like I said, but I forgot to buy them, so we're doing this. Alright, so there's the next color in the pattern. It's actually followed by a second black. Okay, and now I'm going to have the same exact on the other side. Sorry if I go out of the screen when I'm doing this. It's nice once you get a few rows going because then you have more to hold on to, because that's also kind of fun in the beginning when you don't have, which is why I like to do the zigzag, the first 2 rows in the zigzag method, because then I have more to hang on. There is a way you can just start with 1 row and you don't have to do the zigzag method. That's just the way I like to do it. Nice. Okay, so once you've done a full row of brick stitch, if your row is ending by, if your row is a decreased row, it's good. Then you just use up the bridges that are there. But if your row is supposed to increase at the end, like this row that we're on, because you can see that this one was one that went out, this one went in, and now this one is supposed to go out. So there's no more bridges left on the previous row. So what you have to do is share the same bridge that you did on this one right here. So the row always ends in black. So what I have to try to do here is go in blindly and try to nick, or get underneath the bridge on that same previous one. And usually I just do it till I feel like some resistance and hope that I did it right, and if I didn't, then I have to redo it again. Okay, so there. So you see how it's curled over. The bead now just tacked on to the end there using that same bridge. And then don't forget that you have to go back up it again to get into the ready position so that you're up at the top. Now quite often when I'm doing this, you know, I'll be doing other stuff like listening to something, and I will add my beads on and I'll forget that I always have to go back up again so that my string is coming out the top. So if you're ever going along and all of a sudden one bead looks a little weird, it won't kind of, it forms a little bit sideways and you can see the string coming through here. That means that you forgot to go up to the top on the previous bead. So then I usually just pull it all apart and then remember to do that. You do it enough times and then you start to remember to do it, because having to rethread is sometimes a pain. Okay, so I would recommend when you've done your first 2 zigzag stitches, or your first 2 rows using the zigzag stitch, I would recommend when you are done that, go back to the tail and do some little weaving through of the tail so that you make this corner really tight, so it's not going to be all loose like what happened to me. I usually do that, but I totally forgot, so that was my bad. So anyways, now we're going to start on the 4th row. So what I usually do is I like working from right to left, so I always just flip my project around like it was this way because we ended up over here. But I always like starting from this side, so I just flip it over so that now I'm starting from the right side. So now we'll take a look at the pattern again so we can see what we need for row 4. We're now going to be on the 4th row here, and you will be starting still with a black and an orange, but it's indenting this time. It's decreasing, so that means when you start your brick stitch, you will be starting on the 2nd bridge in. Like I said, each row, one row goes out, one row goes in, one row goes out, the next one's going to go in. So when you are decreasing, you're going to be starting on the 2nd bridge instead of the 1st bridge. On the previous row, we started on the 1st bridge because we wanted it to stick out. This time, we want it to go in. So we are going to go on to the 2nd bridge. So not that one, we're going to go on this one. Okay, and then we have to go around again. Go around the beads to secure them and make them line up correctly. Whoops, dropped the needle. Okay, so I've gone around them, and then I'm going to pull really tight so that I can get this. I do find it best if I hold this part down with my nail and then pull, and there you go. Now you've got your first 2 beads. This one's slightly in from that one, and now you're just going to keep doing your brick stitch to the end. And again, you always start your row with 2 beads on, but now you'll do 1 bead at a time. So it's only when you're first starting a row that you do 2, and then you just keep going one at a time. Okay, and so there's the 4 orange. Now, for the pattern that I'm doing on this one, I now need the black, then a white, then a black on the other side, and you can see we've started to form this pattern here. Now, of course, if you don't want to do this pattern, I just wanted to challenge myself and try something. And if you don't want to, just do this all orange. And then it's quite simple. You just will have all your blacks on the outline, and then you don't have to worry about counting so much and which row am I on, all that jazz. You would just be doing increasing one row, decreasing the next row, increasing, and then decreasing until you get up towards the top near the sleeves, which will be a slightly different demonstration once we get up there. So just keep going now until you get to the row that's right below where we start having a separation where the sleeve is going to be. So I'll continue beading this until we get to that point. And then we will do another demonstration on that. I'm sorry again that I'm out of camera, but this is just the same thing over and over again. And this row again on the other side is going to decrease, so you don't have to worry about sharing your bridge this time. 1, 2, 3, 4. So yeah, I'm ending now with the black. So I'll just be using up that last bridge there, and then that row is going to be done. Remembering to go back up to the top so you're in the ready position. And there you go. So we've got the start of our shirt. So what I'll be doing is I'll be flipping this over and starting from here again, and now the next row will be increasing. So I'll string on my 2 beads, but go in through the first bridge, not the second bridge. And I will come back on once I've got the shirt completed up to just before where the split happens for the sleeve. Okay, so this is what it looks like now that I have done all my rows. I actually went 1 row higher than I meant to. I was gonna stop at this row where there's 2 black beads in the middle here. But, so what I did was I just took my thread back down here. Because what we have to do now is do a ladder stitch to extend this farther out here for the part of the sleeve. So I am going to do that now, and the next bead, you just have to look at whatever pattern you're doing. but on this one I need another black. So normally you wouldn't have this row on top, so this wouldn't be in your way, but I should still be able to get this through. So if the thread's coming out the bottom, you go in the opposite side of the bead. So I'll go through here. Okay. And pull this so that it goes right beside there. Can you see that? I hope so. So I just want to reinforce this because it's wobbly. So I'm just going to go around it one more time. So I have a really hard time doing it this way for demonstrating. If I had been you know, there we go. Let's flip it over. Haha! Ta-da! There we go. That solves my problem. Okay. So now I'm going back down here. I'm just going around to reinforce this is what I'm doing. Okay, so now I want to get back into this bead. Okay. Now the next one on the pattern is an orange. So I need to extend this little ladder coming out. So the string is coming out the top this time, so now you want to go through the bottom. So you just go through the opposite of where the string is coming out when you're doing the ladder. Okay, and that's not sitting the right way. There we go. Now it's sitting the right way. Okay, now same thing. I want to reinforce this by going around it. Okay, so I want to make sure I'm back at the end bead again with my string. Okay, I probably should have been pulling this a little bit tighter. Okay, there, it's tight now. Alright, string's coming out the bottom. So I grab whatever next bead I want, whichever next color I'm on, and it's still an orange. String's coming out the bottom. I am going to go through the top. Since it's coming out the bottom. And I want to just fix that bead so it goes the right way. Like that. Okay, and I'm just going to go around the two beads again to keep this tight. Make a nice section here. Okay, so I think I'm at black. I'm at black, so that means I'm at the edge. String's coming out the top this time, so now I'm going to go in through the bottom. And I'm happy that this is the last one in this row because we need the foundation happening here. Okay, I recommend going around it, around the two of them, just to make this ladder really strong. Okay, so there you go. We've got our little ladder extending, and now we can return to the brick stitch and add what we need on above and continue on over here. I need 3 black beads below this, so I think I'm going to finish that one first, and I will flip this over and do that, and they go inwards, so they decrease. So I might as well, I'm starting a new row, so I'll be picking up 2 beads, and they're both black, and it's going to be not as easy because this is a really wobbly piece, so, but I am decreasing, so I go in on the second bridge, like I said, it's a little bit harder to do because it's so thin. And also we reinforce the bridge, so the bridges are a little bit tougher to get this through. Okay. And again, just like always, when you're first starting your row with your 2 beads, you have to go around them. Go around the 2 beads, just kind of similar to what we just did with the ladder, actually. Okay. My tail keeps getting caught in there. Okay. There we go. We've got those 2. Now I just need 1 more to finish the bottom of the sleeve here. Get this tail out of the way. Got my fan on so it keeps blowing it back. Okay. I also would recommend clearing your table space because I've got scissors here and pliers, etc., and I have them moved over to the side, but still somehow my string gets wrapped and caught around them, and I'm always shocked about that it does that. And pliers, by the way, are very handy for when you make a mistake and you don't like where your bead, whatever, there's something wrong with the bead or you didn't do it right. Instead of rethreading, you can just take your pliers and snap off the bead that you don't want or that's wrong, and then you don't have to rethread, which is really handy. And I always forget about that. Okay, so this is forming the bottom of our sleeve, and so I now I'm going to need to bring my thread back up here so I can continue on to the top of this sleeve. And I'm just looking, it's all going to be orange. Okay, so where was this? So I got to figure this out for. Okay, go back here. String is coming through that one, so I want to go up this one. Over here. And I want to get back to this position here where I already partially did the row and then realized I went too far. Okay, so there. So I'm just going to continue on now like I was finishing this row. I put my thread coming out the top, and actually it would have been going this way. Okay, and this row is all orange until you get to the edge. So now you've got some new bridges that you can continue going through to continue doing your brick stitch. You just follow the pattern now. So I'll go to the end here and then I'll come back and do this whole row. And when I get over here, I can do the bridge, or sorry, the ladder to get this side going. Okay, so I've decided I was going to actually, when we were here, I was going to continue this row over and then start my ladder over here. But I realized that there's actually only one row left here. So I might as well just finish doing this arm on this side. So that's what I've done. I just continued working up here, finishing this arm. And you can see that this second pattern is a lot nicer than the first pattern because the first pattern just jets out too far. So I think this is going to be a much nicer size for earrings. And actually on this pattern I also messed up a little bit. This should have been a black there. And then I saw that mistake, but I wanted it to be the same on the other side, so I kept the mistake on that side. But it would have been better if those two had been black anyways. But that was just my mistake. And it's not that noticeable, I don't think. Okay, so now this is where you end up when you finish, when you keep working upwards. So you're over in this corner, but now I want to get back down to right there. So I'm just gonna weave my thread back and forth, and you can do it. Did I? Okay, just wanted to make sure I didn't undo what I just did. Okay, so you can do this however you want. I'm choosing to go back through the top ones, and then I'm going to go down these, but I don't want to, I want to be coming out the top of that one. So I'm not going to go out that very, very last one there. Instead, I'm going to go over into this one so that I can now come up in this one. Because you want your string coming out the top and be in the ready position so that I can continue doing this row. And on the pattern, for this row that we're on, it's 1 black, 5 orange, and then 6 black in a row, and then 5 orange, 1 black. So I'm just going to continue now till I have 6 black, and I've already got the 1 there, so that means I just need 4 more. I mean, sorry, 5 more. I can count. So now I can just continue doing the brick stitch all the way over. And I'll just come back on when I've done that. Okay, so we're at the point now where I've used up all my bridges, so I'm going to have to start doing a ladder. And there really is no correct way of doing this. You could have come across here and done your ladder before doing this side. You can kind of do it in whichever order you want. And now I can either continue my ladder out here from this top row, and then I will have to do 1, 2, 3 rows below and 3 rows above for the rest of the arm. Or if I wanted to, I could do what I did before, which was weave my thread back down to this point and continue my ladder over. Because that's you have to do it from a solid line. I couldn't do it down to here because there's a space here, so you can't do your ladder there. So it would have to be the first one. The first one that I can do it on is this one right here. I can start my ladder there. But I think since I'm at the top right now, I'm just going to do my ladder here, and then I will continue the rows down and then continue the rows up. Okay, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I got my 6 black, and then I said I needed 5 orange. So we've got 2 orange. So I'm going to need 3 more orange. And just a reminder with the ladder is strings coming out the top. So I am going to want to come in through the bottom of that same bead in order to add one. Okay, so there I added one, and I am going to go down that one, and like I said, I want to reinforce my bridge, so I'm just going to go around it one more time. Not my bridge, sorry, I mean ladder. Have I been saying bridge the whole time? I meant ladder. So what did I say I needed? 5 orange. I can always look at the other side to count and see where I was. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, 5. Okay, so I've got 3, and here's the 4th one. So string's coming out the bottom. Let's go through the top. What happened there? Let's go through the top. Okay, so the string was coming out the top, but I had to do a little bit of going back and forth here to get the string to come out the bottom, so that when I flip this over, I've now got the string coming out the top, and I can continue on with brick stitch as normal. Okay, I was wondering why it didn't look right. So unfortunately, I just broke off this black bead here that I put in here by mistake, because this whole row is supposed to be orange. I was wondering why it didn't make sense. So when I get over here, I'm going to have to reinforce all this. I had already put nail polish here anyways, because I always put clear nail polish on at the end to strengthen all this, and so I don't have to worry about my threads. But I had to do a thread change right here, and I was a little bit worried about it, so I had put nail polish there. So this is probably going to hold together for now until I get back over there. But when I do get back there, I'm going to definitely reinforce this, being that I just broke a black out of there. And hopefully I can get this to work without it all falling apart on me. So mistakes do happen, especially with this. This pattern is very complicated because of these ladders that you have to do, so you can't just easily keep going in a row, and then once you get to the arms it's difficult. Okay, I was able to fix that mistake. Again, you shouldn't hopefully have to do that, and I definitely recommend you taking a screenshot and printing out the pattern if you can, because I don't have any color ink, so I wasn't able to do that, and I have to keep referring to my computer, and it's also kind of hard to see my computer from this distance, so that's how you make more mistakes. When I was doing my red dress earrings, I printed the pattern and then I labeled how many colors were in each row, so I made it really easy for myself to not make mistakes, and I had the pattern like right beside me so I could see exactly what I was doing. And so anyways, now I'm just trying to finish the bottom part of this sleeve, get back on track here. And this sleeve goes out, so I went through the first bridge. Now I need another orange. Another nice thing too is once you've done the one side, you can kind of compare. So right now oh shoot, I almost messed up again. Okay, so I'm starting here. So I'm going to do another orange and then 2 blacks. There's already 1 black there, so it'll be 1 orange and then 1 black. But I will say that my other pattern, this one, was way easier. Okay, so this looks like it's a bit of a gap, but what you have to do is, because it is matching the pattern on the other side, so you'll just have to go in through here to make this strong. I mean, to pull it together, There we go. See, now the gap is less. And I think I'm going to go around it a couple times just to keep this together because it's got that little bit of a gap there. But there we go, finally got the bottom of this arm, and I need to get my thread going back up to here so I can keep going now. So I'm just going to thread it right up to the top, and there. Now it'll be as normal. Finally. So except there we go. So now you can just keep going until you fill in this top part, and I will come back on after. Okay, so we finally have the whole shirt done, and now all it's left to do is put a row of beads from this corner over to this corner and add your earring hook. So I put on 10, and I'm going to go 10 and my hook, and the string's coming out of the top there, so I'm just going to take it over to this side. And then in order to keep this tight, I'm going to have to go in and out of a bunch of beads until it's nice and tight. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to weave my thread back down this way, make sure that it's really reinforced until I get down to the tail that's down here. And then I can tie, when this one's coming out the exact same one as this one, I can tie these two together, make a nice couple knots there, and then I can snip it off. And then I will take some clear nail polish and coat everything with clear nail polish just to give it that extra protection of keeping it all together. And of course you will have to make 2 of these if you want to wear them in both ears. But there you have it. This was the other pattern, and I still have to put the hook on that one. And on this one, I think because it turned out too big for earrings, I'm going to turn it into a pin. So I'm just going to take one of these and I will glue this on the back to turn it into a pin, and then I have, you know, the little cap that'll go on there after. And then I can wear this one as a pin. And I'm just going to show you this because if you want to go one step further and add a few little tassels on to the end of the shirt just to make your earring a little bit longer, you can do that as well. I'm not going to show you those right now, but if you go to where I have my little red dress earrings, where all my earrings have the little tassels on them, then I will be demonstrating there. Just go to the end of my video to see how you do this part at the bottom. I hope that this helped you, and don't forget to check out my other videos because I have quite a few other videos with beads. I've got some pink shirt ones, some other orange shirt activities, and the red dress activities, as well as I will be adding more and more projects as time goes by. So if you subscribe, you can be notified whenever I add a new video and see if it interests you. Thank you, everyone.